Hi everybody, this is Adam from Jason Adam TV, and today I've decided to give a short message about something that's been preying on my mind recently, and I'm going to try not to go too far off track, but I've noticed that a lot of nations nowadays have become very isolationist, including the United States. They want to withdraw funding for other countries. They want to restrict immigration, um, and it's not just the United States. There's this overall air of isolationism that worries me quite a bit, because this is the same atmosphere that preceded the world wars, and that is, we don't want to get involved too much. So I guess I should skip on to what's really been bothering me lately, and that is Hong Kong. Um, Let me preface that by saying, as a young, uh, impressionable high school student in 1989, I watched the young students in Beijing protest peacefully in Tiananmen Square, and I was rooting for them. I was just starting to become interested in civics and politics at the time, and I was really hoping that the students could make a change for the better in their country. Um, and then the tanks rolled in, the trucks with soldiers with machine guns rolled into the square, and they started shooting the students. And something snapped inside me that day. Uh, it left a lasting impression on me. And that is that the Communist Party of China is a brutal regime that will stop at nothing to hold on to power. Um, they will make you disappear. They will lie. They'll put out propaganda. Um, they'll do anything to hold on to this power. And it seems to me that they've become even more, the Communist Party of China has become even more paranoid lately. Um, and they are wanting to tighten their control over Hong Kong. I mean, they already have installed basically a puppet government. Uh, they have infiltrated the Hong Kong police department. They have sent thugs in to try to scare the protesters. Um, and I see this struggle in Hong Kong as akin to the student protest in Beijing in 1989. And that is, the people want universal suffrage. They want the right to vote. They want the right to determine their future. They don't want the Communist Party to determine it for them. And so that's why I stand with the protesters. And I agree that what they're doing is having an impact. One thing I would say is that by sending in the thugs with batons and sticks and steel pipes, the Chinese government was goading the protesters into becoming more violent, so that they could claim that the protesters had to be stopped by one means or another. Um, and of course, if I was beaten with a stick, I would start carrying a stick in return. I mean, what person wouldn't? I would carry a stick for self-defense. But yeah, again, that helps the Beijing propaganda that the protesters have become exceedingly violent. But I think the majority of the protesters in Hong Kong are peaceful. Now, they do things that impede the progress of employees and workers trying to get to work. But I believe that overall they've shown remarkable restraint. I mean, you look at protesters in other countries that blow up cars and set cars on fire, and I really think the Hong Kong protesters have shown a lot of restraint. So what advice do I have for the protesters in the future? Well, I'm not on the ground with you, so I'm not completely aware of what's going on. I have seen the footage of the police using excess force, the police beating people, firing rubber bullets at close range, firing tear gas from skyscraper windows that could easily cause brain damage or kill someone if they fell on someone's head who's standing on the ground. So the police department, of course, have lost the respect of the people. And those tactics, I don't think, are indicative of the Hong Kong people. It's more indicative of the communist government in China, these strong arm tactics. So my advice would be public relations. Get more volunteer translators. Get these stories translated into many different languages. The stories of the protesters, what they are fighting for specifically, which mostly is the right to determine their own future, the right to vote, and the right to have democracy and not be subject to the whims of the government in China, which might make someone disappear if they speak out against the government. So yeah, you want to spread your message as far and wide as possible. You want to shame countries who support China. Shame them, confront them with the egregious actions of the Chinese government, and to where their citizens put pressure on their own governments to inflict sanctions against China. And I do believe if enough countries get on board, that this will have, of course, short term it will have a negative effect on the economy, but long term it will have an effect on decisions in China. If the communist government is subject to sanctions, then there will be more unrest within China and more pressure put on the Communist Party to change. And overall, I think economic sanctions are the best alternative to war. So use public relations, spread your message far and wide, get the people of other countries to put pressure on their governments to respond to China and its strong arm tactics. And in that way, change can be achieved. Okay, sorry if I went a little bit over. I was planning on 5 minutes, but I think it's maybe a few minutes over. Thank you for listening, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to Jason Adam TV. Thank you for watching.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.